One of the things that really has struck me all along is this fantastic statement, be a man, man up. This idea that when we talk about masculinity, we present it as an imperative, as a duty, as a performance, as a prove it, meaning it's not a given, meaning masculinity seems to be hard to acquire and easy to lose. And that stands in real contrast with basically the way it stood historically, because historically it's women, femininity, the female species that was this kind of unknown continent, whereas masculinity used to be seen as an identity that was evident, luminous, clear, undoubtful, a given. And yet, when you think about it, if it was a given, the language wouldn't betray itself. Something about the language that keeps saying, prove it, show it. Something about the rituals in every society where boys need to transition into manhood because women have their periods but men have rituals of transition, shows that maybe it isn't that evident and that obvious to begin with. That in fact, masculinity is often a fragile identity. And that today, when it feels that the definitions have become so much more fluid and undefined, it becomes much harder to know how to define, perform, and achieve one's sense of masculinity. Typically, we talk about men from the position of power. And while that is very much at place in many parts of our society, I think there is a whole other reality that is equally central for me, and that is that, in fact, in my work, for sure, I spend more time talking with men's sense of powerlessness than with men's sense of power, with men's fear of losing whatever little power sometimes they feel they have. Basically, we talk about the fragility of the masculine identity and not the privilege of the masculine identity. And to have a fuller picture, I think we really need both. Part of what plagues men's sense of mental health is that notion that they are not man enough, that they have not proven themselves as men, that they are not competitive, not stoic, not fearless, not all those things that are part of the making of the masculine code. By the way, worldwide, this is not unique to one culture. It's more extreme in some cultures than others, but the code is fairly the same. And so when I think about male vulnerability, I'm not talking about a sense of repudiated feelings that men have a challenge articulating. I'm talking about the vulnerability as being part intrinsically of the making of male identity. It's actually more systemic than just personality and personal psychology. That's what I would like us to include when we talk about mental health for men, is the pressures that so many men experience, the burdens that are placed on them to continuously have to reassert, remake, re-strengthen, reprove their masculine identity. And that is a pressure that we don't often recognize enough.